Hi there, Kirk McDowell with Contribution Selling. Today's question I'm going to answer is how to make a sales training manual. How to make a sales training manual. Okay, great. Um, so the first thing that's critical is that there's lots of different types of selling environments and lots of different uh, approaches to selling. So the first thing about having a sales training manual, right, is to get really clear what the sales training environment is, what the sales selling environment is, what the commitment of the company, like how they want to approach sales, and I'll expand on that a little bit. I don't really believe there's a one size fits all sales training manual, unless it's very general, and that could be really tremendously valuable. But as you dig into the nuances and the specifics of an industry or a company or even a territory, sometimes there'll be nuances and adjustments and subtleties and so forth, right? Selling environment. So if I'm gonna create a sales training manual, I'm interested in, first of all, the sales environment, right? So there's lots of different ways you could distinguish, lots of different continuums from which you could distinguish a sales training environment. Selling to people or selling to companies, B2C and B2B. That B2C is business to consumer. So are you selling to people or businesses? Are you selling a big upfront capital expenditure, or are you selling a monthly service, right? Are you selling something someone knows that they need, or are you selling something that someone's kind of never heard of, or they've heard a little bit, they're not really quite sure how it applies to them? So are you just simply differentiating yourself from the competition, or are you like educating people on why your offering would be awesome for them, right? Those are just a few examples. There's like 10 or 15 or 20 ways you could sort of distinguish a sales environment. And that's kind of critical, right? It's critical for a lot of different things in training and recruiting and managing, because you want to have your attention on the types of activities and the types of mindset that would make the biggest difference in this particular environment with this chosen niche and so forth, right? The problem that you're there to solve. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then there's the approach of the company, right? So this is kind of interesting. So I've been in sales training for quite some time now, decades. And what I've noticed over the years is that 90+%, like more than 9 out of 10, like really everything I encounter pretty much in terms of sales training is literally, like actually in reality, ever more subtle forms of manipulating people, right? And it's gotten very sophisticated, psychological manipulation, emotional manipulation, understanding how the brain works and how it's wired together and how people make decisions and choices and what, strikes terror and fear in the heart of people and makes them want to do something. So I don't like that. Like, that's not my approach. I don't like that. I don't agree with that. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's unnecessary. I don't even think it's very effective anymore, because that whole idea of manipulating people, pushing, pulling, cajoling, it's just been done. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's seen it. So it's very difficult, even if you decided that was a good way to do business and was consistent with your integrity. Even if that is the case, which I think would be doubtful, I'm not sure it's even effective anymore, right? Because I know now I'm a little ahead of the game because I've been trained in lots of these things. So when I'm out in the world and I get sort of sales tactics used on me, I recognize it immediately, and I'm all of a sudden a lot more difficult to deal with, right? And usually I just kind of have fun with them for a while until I'm bored and I move on, right? So that's what you get for trying to push or pull me, right? If I get a sense that you're trying to manipulate me in a selling environment, I'll have fun at your expense until I'm ready to move on to something else. So you may have encountered that from time to time, right? Somebody with a little more experience than you, kind of taking you through your paces. But anyways, right? But the point is, right? Generally what you're going to get from a manipulative approach is resistance, right? So what's the alternative? Well, it's going to seem kind of radical until you kind of let it soak in, and that's going to seem like the most obvious thing ever. Okay, so just check it out. The alternative is to be the real deal. So the alternative is to be the real deal. The alternative is that who you are is consistent with what you say. I'm going to expand on this because there's more to this probably than you're hearing immediately, right? So the trick is to actually be the person that people want to do business with, as opposed to figure out how to pretend to be the person that people want to do business with. See, almost all sales training that I've encountered, and when I've been, people have been helpful and helping me along, giving me advice, it's usually in the vein of how to ever more cleverly disguise who I really am and present who I would like people to perceive me as, and then go in as that person and try to do as much business as I can and get out of there before the whole charade falls apart. Now that may sound a little rough and it may make me sound bad, but I think if you really open your eyes and open your mind and observe keenly, you'll have a similar observation, okay? But I have an alternative, right? So I found myself in a transformational weekend in 1997 that changed everything for me, right? And I really saw something for myself. And what I saw was I no longer wanted to be a manipulative person, right? And then what I saw was when my real intention, when my actual true real intention, like for real, is to contribute to another human being, I've noticed that most of the time they notice and respond very well to that. I think most people are hoping to run into people who are true, authentic, the real deal, of some sort of contribution or value, who you could actually partner with to accomplish something. I think most people are actually looking for that, and the difficulty comes in. Most salespeople think they need to lie, cheat, and steal to get what they need, and most customers are expecting salespeople to lie, cheat, and steal. And so you have a very dysfunctional, adversarial, poorly functioning system, frankly, right? And then the answer that I've mostly observed out in the world for salespeople is sort of like an arms race. How can we get more subtle and more manipulative and more nuanced and more effective? And people are, how can I be more true to myself and more observant and more present and keenly observe people trying to rip me off or cajole me or dominate me or manipulate me. And then you have this sort of weird sort of new age arms race, if you will, right? So I have a completely different strategy, which is forget about, so this is odd, right? Maybe this is odd. So I'm a sales trainer and I have something called contribution selling. I have some free training, by the way, I'd love to offer you. Just kind of click the link below, contributionselling.com. But, and I'm going to point to like the biggest shift, right? Which is just like really be the person people want to do business with. Forget selling and practice, train, study, being the real deal. Like whatever you say you are, I say I'm a coach and a trainer, right? So I don't work on my sales techniques. I work on being a better coach. I don't work on my closing. I work on being a better trainer, right? And it's after that I work on how to articulate who I am and what I'm up to and what I'm committed to in a way that somebody can hear it, specifically the person I'd like to work with, right? Radical, I get it, totally crazy radical, right? So again, what I'm proposing is forget about selling. Forget about selling. Forget about selling. How much do you like being sold? Exactly, right? So forget about selling. Get interested instead in being the real deal. Whatever it is you say you are, be that. Spend an hour a day being better at your thing. I tend to work with coaches and business consultants, people who sell their expertise and experience and knowledge and commitment to make a difference for others, right? That's my favorite kind of person on the planet. So, it's who I work with, right? And just get really good at making a difference for people. And then after that, get really good at articulating who you are and what you're up to in a way that people can go, wow, I've been looking for that. And then they'll have questions, and then you answer the questions, and they'll have more questions, and you answer more questions, and you do it with, delight and love, and generatively let people have the information they were seeking, right? Be of value and assistance to them, contribution, if you will, right? And then when you feel the questions kind of die away, you can feel a shift in the momentum. This is kind of big. When to close is when you feel the downshift in momentum, right? So you'll be question, answer, pause, boom. Hey, would you like to get started? Does this feel like what you're looking for? Do you think this would be the answer to the problem that we've been discussing? Does this feel like something you'd like to try? And if they say no, great. What would you like me to do? Should I follow up with you? Should I disappear? Would you like, no, follow up with me in a week. Great, I'll do that. Or would you like to move forward? Well, I got a couple more questions. Great, I've got a couple more answers. What do you need? Right? Or, I'd like to do it. I'm not sure if I can, I have this, money or time or something. Great. Work it with them. Don't beat people up. Don't try to push or pull. People can feel that and you get immediate resistance. Instead, work with people, have conversations that are deeply respectful, contributory, and that open things up, that open up what's possible, and then listen for how you can get in there and make the difference for the person that you'd like to do business with, right? Be the person that they're looking to do business with. Be the person they would like to do business with. Be the person they're looking for. Be the change you wish to see out in the world. Give what you want to get. Awesome. Okay, good. So Kirk McDowell, contributionselling.com. I've got some free training I'd love you to have. Thanks so much for your time.